If I might have your attention, ladies and gentlemen. We'll start the breakout session, which is focused on innovation and technology. And first speaker is Martin Meehan. Martin is principal of Meehan Associates and chairman of Meehan Green. He's a registered architect, chartered architectural technologist, chartered arbitrator, environmentalist and lean accredited professional. Meehan Associates was formed in 1993 and has delivered best-in-class facilities for major clients in Ireland, throughout Europe and the rest of the world. Meehan Green was formed in 2016 from Meehan Associates to concentrate on LEED accreditation, education and advice. Is also involved in other forms of accreditation such as WELL. Meehan Green discharges projects worldwide. The furthest project to date from Ireland has been in Japan. Martin's presentation, which is kind of dear to my heart, the work I started off with in my early career is sympathetic conservation and conversion of old buildings. So his presentation is called From a Sales Lug to Silk Purse. It's the story of the renovation of Block B, East Point Business Park in Dublin, to LEED Platinum, to provide a leading-edge office environment. The building is the first of a sequence of renovations which are ongoing at present. A best-in-class environment was delivered in 7 months, an exceptionally fast delivery. It involved a complete strip-out of 5,700 square metre building, major structural alteration, reglazing, atrium construction and a full fit-out. Martin will present the project, explain some of the special features incorporated in the design and explain the journey which will develop the design approach to the next 5 buildings in the sequence. The Block B project has won a number of awards, being Best Irish Commercial Fit Out Project in the Build Architectural Awards 2016, Green Project of the Year Award in the Irish Construction Industry Awards 2016, and Meehan Associates won Best Sustainable Design Company in Ireland in the Build Architectural Awards 2016. So I'll ask Martin to come forward and present the project. Thank you.
Morning, everyone. Thanks, Martin, for the invite, GMIT for the invite. We're delighted to come along and speak to you all today. Thank you for outlining what we've done to date, which is great. And I've got to try and work this one out now. Yeah, there we go. Great. Following on what Tom Parlin was saying earlier, just to give you a little bit of an idea about Meehan Associates, 50% of our staff are female. Not 10% or 20%, 50%. In fact, probably 53%. Women in construction is a big feature in our office and a major contributor to our success. Some of the projects that were mentioned by John of ACOM there, we're involved as lead AP for the Hanging Gardens project in Limerick and for the Opera project. And Tom mentioned about deep retrofit. Now you're going to get involved in deep retrofit. This is great stuff. I put this up so that you know where Dublin is. So as we focus in on Dublin, we're looking at East Point. East Point is a business park which was built on a dump, a reclaimed site. It's just on the outside of the city. And you can see there, park. Underneath that park is rubbish. Underneath all of this is rubbish, and this is East Point Business Park. Built, commenced about 20 odd years ago, and the park is a very substantial business park. Beautiful park, designed by Scott Town Walker. Absolutely excellent. The building we're going to be talking about is actually this building here. And it's funny that when you go back to Google Maps and you see that the building is showing up as it is today, you realize that Google are traversing the earth on an ongoing basis, updating all of these maps. Block B has 2 atria. You can see the little glazed features there. This is Block A. The atria in Block A are open-welled, and that was the way Block B was before we started. It was an old enough building. So effectively, we had holes down to the ground here. It was a naturally ventilated building. So we started to move on it. November 2014, we were asked to commence design work. We had to get all the design work put together, planning put together, fire, disability access, and tender the project. In such a short period, we were on site in May. We located the client in 2015 November, a very short period. So here you've got an old building. Here it is, 18 years old. Look at it. A jaded building with radiator heating, very little air handling. The central atria that I spoke about, the fact that the natural ventilation extended into the heart and core of the space. A bit overgrown when we took it over because it hadn't been looked after, and it had a few other occupants in the building as well. So we started to take it apart. These buildings were built on a 6-metre grid, cast in situ slabs. So what you've got is you've got solid concrete structures. We took out the central cores, took out all the toilets, took out everything, and then started to look at putting the lid on the roof. So we were building these 2 atria, stripping the whole roof, putting a green roof onto the roof, creating an atrium structure, steel on top of concrete. Fairly large. These atria are 12 metres by 12 metres. Internally, as we took out the internal, gutted the whole out, central core, took it all out, took all the glazing around the area. We then started to put in staircases. Staircases were clipped on. Special high-performance lifting gear to pop it into place because they're quite heavy. Started to build internally, put in the mechanical and the electrical. The building is fully air-conditioned with a 4-pipe system. Started to create partitions. Partitions are finished with armour coat, highly polished plaster, very nicely finished, nice rib, beautiful colours. We used the neutral and colours. You'll see colours later. The atrium itself started to take shape. You can see it there now. And the glazing around the atrium, the support glazing, the barrier glazing, starting to appear. As the building started to take form, I'm going to explain parts of it to you and also some of the things that we had to incorporate in the design from day one in order to facilitate the operation of the building. This is called a spider. This passes through 860 millimeters of width. It's necessary in order to get up 15 meters in height in order to sort out the stuff that you might have at the higher levels of the atrium space. And the reason why I bring it here is to tell you and reinforce with you as you're designing, as you're looking at things, as we're going forward, remember that you could be starting with a thing as simple as this, which affects so much in the actual operation of the building. This can come in, it travels over the raised access floor, but the raised access floor is a high performance raised access floor in the areas that it travels. And when it gets into the central area, it can go right up that full height. It's fascinating to see it operate. We put a new green roof on the building, put a total new roof on the building, but this green roof operates on the sustainability side to stop the massive runoff of water off the roof. I'm sure you're familiar with green roofs. We put solar water heaters on the roof as well. They work to serve the showers. Funny enough, even though it's a big building, it doesn't need an awful lot of hot water. We used photovoltaic. Photovoltaic again gained us a certain amount of green accreditation, and the photovoltaic array, we were only able to put up this array on this part of the building. It powers the lighting in 50% of the second floor on a constant basis. The partitions we used were a bit posh, to be very honest with you. The glazed partitions give a 50 dB sound rating. The average partition has a 28 dB sound rating, and the distance between 28 and 50 is huge, as you're probably aware. As we were creating out the floors, remember I showed you the floor plan. You had the atrium space in the center, and you had the floors around like 2 donuts. In the donuts, we have all of these collaboration spaces, open spaces with loose seating and screens, digital screens. We created an auditorium. The The auditorium is retractable. It moves back in and can be tidied away. Since they moved in 15 months ago, that has never been put away. That is a very valuable part of what they do in getting together, talking about what they're doing, and educating. This atrium space is fantastic because the sound system and the AV system we have there, it's like being at an IMAX studio. It's fantastic. This gives you a view of the height within the atrium, and the speaking position is normally from here, but people often speak from down below as well. It's pretty cool. They created a social media hub. Interesting. Social media hub. When they release some piece of information into the market, they want to know what's happening out there. Just like there's as far as I know, there's a blog or a feed going out from here today to get people interested in what's happening here. This happens in the digital world as well. And then they map by taking feed in from the internet into this room, which looks down over one of the main atria and reception areas onto the screens behind. And it gives a digital dispersal around the world of all the interactive conversations that are taking place at that time. So they watch and control and see what's happening around the world when they're feeding the information out there. That picture shows you in the background, not a very good one because we weren't able to take a really front-up one. But as you can see, the screen is blue on the back and there's little white dots, lots of little white dots. And they're sort of happening and they're clustering, and you get somewhere the big cluster. That's the image of the digital conversation happening in the world when something is released. And they're monitoring and having a look at it and seeing what's happening. The meeting rooms were set up very specially to be collaboration, AV, and discussion rooms. Very nicely set up with some acoustic attenuation as well. Breakout areas are popped around the building so that people can have coffee. The cafeteria for this building is in another building because they have a number of buildings in the campus, and there's a much bigger cafeteria in an adjacent building. But breakout areas are important to get people to talk, relax, and discuss. We mentioned water earlier. There was a chat about water, and Tom Parlin was saying that it wasn't a political thing. It is a political thing, and it's very important. It's one of our biggest commodities going forward in the world, let's be very honest. So low flow delivery, managing water within a building is critical to the building. And it's part of the LEED accreditation process. It's part of the sustainability achievement that you will gain within the LEED process. So what we have here is we have sensor taps and low flow. So you get enough water to do what you need, but it disappears very quickly. The system that's used here, this support system behind, is access paneled. It's very handy, it's very good, very easy to design and operate. And matches in very nicely with the cubicalized system for the loos. The loos themselves are all low flow as well. So they're censored, low flow. That means that the water used for many, many people is a lot less than it could be. We put in low flow showers as well. Sometimes people get worried about low flow showers. Is there going to be enough water? Absolutely. No problem. No negative responses whatsoever. Solar control is very important in a building because a building can heat up and cool down. The reaction to that is an energy reaction which demands either heating or cooling, cooling or heating. Where this building is concerned, because we have an awful lot of glazing in the building, we took out solid panels and we changed those panels into clear panels. There's a potential for higher solar gain. The new panels that were put in are solar controlled, but we put on blinds. Problem with blinds in buildings, if you look at a building, you'll see that some blinds are down, some blinds are up, and the building looks absolutely terrible. So in order to manage that process, and the fact that people would leave a blind down, we have a whole system around the building that people can drop a blind down and leave it, and after 2 hours it will slowly start to come back up again. Big benefit here that it's letting light into the building, and we need light because it affects how much energy we're using in our actual internal lighting system. The atria space, because of the glazing to the roof, can take an awful lot of light in. It's amazing how when the sun is on full tilt, no clouds in the sky, and we do get those days, there's a lot of light comes in here. And if it's causing a problem, these solar control blinds can be taken across and they help to reduce that impact. But at night, this building puts its duvet on. 7 o'clock at night, the blinds all work. The duvet comes on. The material in the blinds is both insulative as well as reflective. And it contains the heat or the cool in the building. Really great, really great. I mentioned lighting. We have a lighted system in the building which is lighting control. Each light, every light, has an individual control. That sensor has an occupancy sensor, it has a thermal sensor, and it has a light sensor. It knows what the light is in the area, and it knows what light it has to deliver. It's fully controlled. So it delivers the right amount of light in the area if the area is occupied. So in the evening time, there's a more penal regime because the lights will close down very quickly, whereas during the day it depends on, it sort of thinks that there's going to be people there for longer really, and it will stay on slightly longer, but at night time the lights will cut off very, very quickly. The lighting is a mixture of both LED and T5. T5 because these panels here that we were very interested in weren't available in LED while we were doing the project. But all of these lights here and all of the general lighting throughout all the rest of the building is LED. These are white LED. We have RGB LED, which allows us to change colour and give a mood atmosphere. So on St. Patrick's Day, I hope they turn it green. As the building was created, we have open plan office spaces and we have collaboration spaces. And then we have rooms of different types. Rooms where people can go to work on a project for an hour or have a phone call, because in the outside, in the outer areas, noise can be a factor. So we created these single-person workspaces, phone booths. You can go in, you can work away. They're not terrifically comfortable because they're small, but you're not going to be there for a terribly long time. But they're panelled beside 4-person, 6-person, and larger meeting rooms. Outside, I mentioned about the furniture. We have some differing types of furniture around the building. You've seen some of it already. And then set in the centre of the collaboration spaces, we have what are called V-pods. V-pods, again, are single-person spaces that you can go into like a TARDIS, lock the door, and there you go, work away. The V-pod is a definite single-person space. Colour was used to give ourselves the floors, orange on the ground, yellow, and green. As you can see, that coloured polished plaster works very, very well. And we matched it in with the furniture as it went to give a relationship on the floors. Naturally, a modern day company is involved in recycling. And recycling stations are around the building, alongside the copying or printer stations, and they work extremely well. Part of the LEED accreditation process can be that you're going to make people aware of what their building does. It's all very well you come in here and you see that we've fluorescence and that, and they're good, and you know a little bit about it, but nobody else does. And if you're putting in a sustainable endeavour, it's nice to be able to tell people about it. So around the building, in lots of places, there are all these little plaques that have a certain amount of information telling people that this is how your lues work, this is how your lighting works, this is the way this works, that works. Because everything we've used, the carpeting, the wall material, all the kit, is designed and created from a sustainable base. It's always great fun when a client changes their mind midstream. Sometimes it puts a little pressure on, and sometimes it puts a lot of pressure on. In the LEED process, it takes 60 points to gain gold, it takes 80 points minimum to gain platinum. And it's a real hard graft when you're asked halfway through the project, can you up your game? Luckily enough, the team in the office were able to do that. We achieved platinum, and I'll show you now. telling you a little bit about LEED. You mightn't know a lot about LEED. I got involved in LEED. If you go back to that graph that was on the screen earlier where that big dip started to happen, well, we had done a lot of work over the years with IDA, and IDA asked me to, they knew of my interest in sustainability more so than they were doing anything in sustainability, so they asked me to have a look at a report that they'd got from the States and give a view on it. And what transpired from that is that IDA made a decision to ensure that anything they would build following that would be LEED accredited. Now, they haven't built an awful lot, they're starting to build now, and we're involved with some of those projects on the LEED side. But LEED was emerging at that stage, and I decided that we'd target the practice to really become more focused on sustainability and give that as a particular offering. It's like all these things when you're a prophet and you're going out there and you're talking to people. I spent years going around different people telling them that they should really be embracing this, and you know when you're going out the door there'd be a smile and they'd say, yeah, right, okay, that's fine. Now, LEED is huge now. We now have divided the practice so that we have Meehan Associates and Meehan Green, and Meehan Green is the default sustainability LEED practice in the country, and in fact we're stretching out throughout the world. It's a super success, and it's not due to me, let me tell you, it's due to the people involved. Nothing in all of this is really only due to me in any way, because we have a superb team. And the LEED team are carving their own furrow out. So we have the architectural team flying off in one direction with superb stuff, and we have the LEED team going the other way. As you can see, in 1993, the US Green Building Council was formed. Now, I don't know what Donald Trump's going to do about that as we go forward, but as you can see, there's been a progress right through. Been a lot of movement, and we have, in Ireland, we have the Irish Green Building Council, who are operating, and we have had recently a change of the LEED accreditation process from version 3 to version 4. LEED is active in over 161 countries in the world, so it's very, very relevant. And if you take last year, this is the only data I have now just at the moment, but there's nearly 2 million square feet, they use the square feet, certifying every day. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. To introduce you to it as a sustainability program, you can see there that there are 7 and 2 categories. 7 categories in LEED version 4. LEED version 3 is disappearing into the background. You can see there are sustainable sites. That means we want to build in cities or in towns. We don't want to build necessarily on green property. We want to ensure that water efficiency is the best in class, down to even 20% of what people would normally categorize as normal use. There's no need for an awful lot of water use. In the energy in the atmosphere, we don't want to have products that are going to cause us problems. We're cutting down on particular types of gases. We're using higher efficient and better operating machinery to produce our heat. On the materials and the resources, it stands to itself. We want to have sustainable products coming through. We want to produce very good indoor air quality for people, because that's important. That's balance. That's the balance between kit that's spec'd a particular way and has to perform a particular way. And the innovation and the regional priority. Regional priority is in a country that has a particular category that is more important to them than in others. So Ireland has one, England has one, Germany has one. And innovation then, it allows us there's 4 options within a LEED process to prove that you're being innovative. So all of that produces the certification levels, and you can start at the base level up to platinum. And the buildings now being built, the office buildings being built in Dublin now are targeting gold at a minimum and platinum as a target. And we would be involved as LEED APs on many of those. So we go back to our project timeline that we spoke about for Block B, and you can see there that the amount of work that was done was highly aggressive. Few facts: cables, panels, PV, water reduction. In that building, 40% in use. Energy, 43%. Building size, there's the occupancy, 460. In the first 6 months of operation, this was calculated as the net saving on the lighting alone in the building, which is 37 grand. Just great. So the client can see a tangible return. Luckily for us, we were good to win the Irish Construction Industry Awards, Green Project of the Year, and then Green Practice of the Year. And then in the UK, on the Architecture Awards, the Build Architecture Awards, we won both of those two categories as well. So I want you to sit back and enjoy now. Put together a little bit of a video. There you go. Thank you.